I want to start today with a very specific feeling. It's not just about liking a book. It's that moment when you're on your couch, maybe it's raining, maybe your phone is just buzzing with emails you don't want to answer, and you look down at the page you're reading and you just think,
I need to go there.
yes, exactly.
Yeah.
I need to go there, not visit.
No, not a vacation.
Not a week in a hotel. I mean, you want to pack a bag, you want to leave your whole life behind and just walk through the paper and live inside the story.
Trade your mortgage for a castle?
Or your commute for a carriage ride across the moors. Yes.
I think it's a universal impulse, isn't it? That desire to find a reality that just fits you better than the one you were born into.
Well, today we are doing a deep dive into a stack of sources that treat this desire not as a daydream, but as a literal physical survival strategy.
Right.
We are looking at the Astral Library. And I have to say, when I first started reading through this material, I was capturing something very whimsical. You know, tea with Mr. Darcy, flying on dragons, that sort of thing.
And there is some of that, don't get me wrong. But what makes this deep dive so fascinating, I think, is that the source material grounds this fantasy in something incredibly gritty.
Gritty is the right word.
The Astral Library isn't a theme park. It's a refugee camp.
That is a stark way to put it, but you are absolutely right. This isn't about tourism.
No.
It's about asylum. So let's unpack this. We're looking at a narrative that's centered around a specific entry point, what the sources call a thin place, located inside the Boston Public Library.
Which is already one of the most atmospheric places in America. I mean, if you've ever been to the reading room at the BPL with those iconic green lamps and that deep, heavy silence.
It already feels like a borderland.
It does. It feels like you're on the edge of something else.
Exactly. But the sources describe a shift. You find a specific door, usually when you're not even looking for it, and you step through, and suddenly, you aren't in Boston anymore.
No.
You're in the Astral Library. And the visuals here, okay, help me describe this, because the architecture itself is doing so much of the heavy lifting.
It's more than reality. That's really the only way I can put it. The sources detail these infinite barrel-vaulted ceilings that seem to just stretch up into a haze.
You can't see the top.
You can't. And there are these massive emerald green windows.
And the lighting is so key here. It doesn't matter if it's midnight and sleeting outside in Boston. Inside the library, those windows are pouring in this warm, golden sunlight. It's perpetual afternoon.
Which right away suggests a total disconnection from terrestrial time.
Totally.
There's a clock mentioned in one of the texts, but it doesn't tick away seconds.
What does it do?
It seems to mark arrivals. It measures presence, not duration. It's a different kind of physics.
And the books themselves, they're not just, dead objects sitting on shelves. The sources say they rustle.
Yes.
If you walk down an aisle, the books flutter their pages at you like birds in a cage. They're trying to get your attention.
That detail is so crucial because it implies agency. The stories want to be read. They want to be inhabited.
They're alive.
They are. But for me, the most evocative detail wasn't the sight, it was the smell.
Oh, the smell.
Yeah.
I made a specific note of this because it's such a specific, curated cocktail of scents. It's not just old paper.
Yeah, it's much more complex. The text lists it out. Wood smoke, beeswax, tea, and this is the real kicker.
Chocolate chip cookies.
Chocolate chip cookies. It's the olfactory equivalent of safety.
It really is.
It is designed to trigger a parasympathetic nervous system response. You smell that, and your shoulders drop 2 inches. You stop fight or flight mode.
Which brings us to the who. Because you can't just wander in there because you're bored.
Yeah.
The library has a bouncer, metaphorically speaking. It only opens for a very specific type of person.
The lost and desperate. That's the exact criteria. The library is a sanctuary, and it only appears to people who have run out of options in the real world.
And this is where we meet our guide, our protagonist in this case study, Alix Watson.
Right.
And I think we really need to spend some time on Alix because she is the lens through which we learn all the rules. Alix is 26, a former foster kid, and she is currently dealing with a concept the sources call poverty math.
I wanted to pause on that term poverty math because it is such a powerful framework for understanding her motivation. It's not just being broke.
No.
It's a cognitive state. It's a constant, relentless burden.
It's the constant calculation.
It's relentless. The sources describe Alix standing in a grocery store aisle. She's not just shopping, she's running an algorithm in her head.
Oh, wow.
You know, if she buys the strawberries, she can't afford the subway fare. But if she walks, she'll ruin her only good pair of shoes, which she definitely can't afford to replace.
So every choice has this ripple effect of consequences.
Every single one. If she buys the cheap skin cream, will she get that rash that requires the expensive ointment later? It's a constant cost-benefit analysis of survival.
It sounds absolutely exhausting. It's like her brain is constantly running a background app that's just draining 90% of her battery.
That is exactly what it is. It's pure decision fatigue. And this is so vital for context because when we get to the magic later, we have to understand what that magic is replacing.
That's a great point.
For Alix, the magic of the library isn't just about, dragons and castles. It's about the absence of that math. It's about not having to count pennies for a single minute.
In her situation,
Yeah.
it hits rock bottom on what she calls a terrible Tuesday.
A cascade of failure. It's one thing after another.
She tries to buy groceries. Her debit card is declined. But it's not just empty.
No, it's worse. It's been compromised. Her identity has been stolen by someone with the most ridiculous name you can possibly imagine.
Libby Bibb.
Libby Bibb. It sounds like a character from a nursery rhyme, but she is actively ruining Alix's life.
She drains the account completely.
Drains it. Then Alix loses her job at a coffee shop called the Bump and Grind, which, again, just suggests the daily indignity of her life.
Right.
And she's facing immediate eviction. She has $36 in cash, a backpack, and absolutely nowhere to sleep that night.
So when that door to the Astral Library opens for her, the Boston Public Library, she isn't stepping through out of curiosity.
Not at all.
She's stepping through because the alternative is sleeping on the sidewalk in the middle of winter.
Exactly. She is a refugee, in the truest sense of the word. And she lands in this emerald-lit hall and meets the entity in charge, the librarian.
Okay, let's talk about the librarian, because if I picture a magical librarian, I'm thinking, I don't know, Galadriel with a date stamper.
Laughs. Yeah, no.
But that is not who this is.
Not even close. The librarian is aggressively mundane in her appearance. She wears a cardigan, she has her glasses on a chain. She looks like every librarian you've ever met in a public school.
She claims to be from Qom, in Iran.
But the timeline doesn't match up. The sources imply she's much, much older than she looks. Possibly immortal.
And she is snarky. She is not a warm, welcome home child kind of mentor figure.
Oh no, she's annoyed, she's busy, she has paperwork.
She refuses to be the wise mentor. You see this in how she interacts with the library's own technology. She has this tablet that controls the flow of patrons and books.
But it's password protected by the library itself. And to unlock it, she has to quote books.
And this is my favorite detail. It's not just Shakespeare or Milton.
No.
The library forces her to quote Sidney Sheldon or Throne of Glass.
It's a humbling mechanism. It's like the library has a sense of humor. It forces this ageless, incredibly powerful entity to recite pop culture fantasy or, cheesy romance novels just to get her work done.
It grounds the magic in bureaucracy.
It really does. It also tells us the library doesn't distinguish between high art and low art. A book is a book. A story is a story.
But the librarian isn't the only permanent resident. We have to talk about the ghosts.
Yes. This is a fascinating and kind of melancholy piece of world building. The library is inhabited by spirits of people who died with too many books on their to-be-read pile.
Which is personally attacking me, by the way. My nightstand is an absolute safety hazard.
You and me both. I think a lot of us would be in danger of becoming ghosts. But in this world, that attachment, that unfinished business, it keeps you tethered.
And there's a specific ghost mentioned, right? Dennis.
Dennis. He's been floating around for a decade reading War and Peace.
Come on, Dennis. Just skim the war parts. It's not that hard.
But think about the psychology of that. It's literally unfinished business. It suggests that for these people, the stories were more important than their actual lives. They can't move on to the afterlife because they just need to know how the story ends.
So Alix is surrounded by these ghosts and the books and this grumpy librarian, and she's told she can stay. She can become a patron.
But there are rules.
And these are not just shush, be quiet library rules. These are like laws of physics.
They are. And the most interesting one, by a very wide margin, is the public domain constraint.
Let's really dig into this. Because Alix, understandably, wants to go to Narnia. She wants to go to Hogwarts. She wants the cool, modern fantasy world she grew up reading.
Of course. That's what she loves.
And the librarian just shuts that down immediately.
She has to. The rule is absolute. You can only inhabit books that are in the public domain.
Why? I mean, is the library worried about getting sued by an author's estate?
In a way, yes, but it's metaphysical. The sources imply that while an author is alive, or while their estate still holds the copyright, The story is still theirs.
Okay.
It's still fluid. It's tethered to the creator's mind, to their intentions. It isn't stable enough to support human life inside it.
So it's like wet concrete you just sank.
That's a perfect analogy.
Yeah.
Exactly. If you tried to walk into Game of Thrones, the world might shift under your feet because George R.R. Martin decides to change a backstory in the next book.
Right.
But Pride and Prejudice,
Yeah.
that concrete has cured for 200 years. It's solid rock. It belongs to humanity now, not just Jane Austen.
So that really limits the menu. You have to pick from the classics. Dickens, Twain, Verne.
The old stuff.
But even if you pick your book, there's another catch. The side character clause.
This is the rule that prevents the patrons from just completely breaking the story. You cannot be the main character.
Right.
You cannot go into Pride and Prejudice and decide you want to be Elizabeth Bennet.
Because Elizabeth Bennet has things to do. She has a narrative purpose. She has to marry Darcy.
Precisely. If you take her place and you decide, actually, I don't really like Darcy, I think I'm going to move to London and open a bakery, the entire narrative structure just collapses. The book falls apart.
So the library inserts you as a background extra.
A cousin, a neighbor, a maid, someone who can watch the plot unfold but can't derail it.
That sounds kind of frustrating, to be that close to the action but completely unable to touch it or change it.
It creates a unique form of voyeurism. You are literally living inside your favorite story, but you are structurally prevented from changing the tragic parts. You have to watch the heartbreak happen on schedule every single time the book loops.
And speaking of loops, there's a really dire warning about what happens after the last page, the "Here There Be Dragons" warning.
This is where the magic gets really dangerous. When the book ends, when you hit the final period on the final page, the script runs out.
There's nothing left.
Nothing. If you stay in the world past that point, you are in uncharted territory. The author didn't write what happens next, so the world starts to generate its own reality.
Which sounds cool, maybe, but the librarian implies it's terrifying.
It's chaos. The fundamental logic of the world breaks down. Characters might start acting wildly out of character. The physics might get wonky. It's the Wild West of narrative. Most patrons are very careful to restart the book before they hit that point.
So who actually does this? Who creates a life here? Who are the patrons? Because Alix isn't the first, and the source material gives us some incredible case studies.
It does, and they really illustrate the full range of people who seek this kind of sanctuary. The first one Alix meets is a woman named Masako.
Masako is fascinating. Visually, she's just stunning. She's wearing these high-end period Japanese robes like 12 layers of silk, and she has her teeth blackened, which was the cosmetic standard at the time.
She looks like a painting that's walked off a scroll.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But then she opens her mouth to speak.
And she has a flat Midwestern accent. She's from Detroit.
She's a lifer. She has been living inside the tale of Genji for so long that the real world just feels like a dream to her now.
She treats the library like a pit stop. She pops out, renews her book like she's at a municipal kiosk, and then dives right back in. She has completely abandoned her identity as a woman from Detroit to be a lady-in-waiting in medieval Japan.
And it raises the question, is that madness? Or is that a successful migration? If he's happy there, does it matter that it's fiction?
I don't know the answer to that.
Then we had the example that really just, it broke my heart, the little girl from West Virginia.
This one is heavy because the library doesn't just take adults. A child stumbles in bruised, skinny, clearly escaping a horrific home situation.
And she chooses Anne of Green Gables.
Of course she does.
And the librarian doesn't hesitate. She doesn't call child services. She doesn't ask for a parent or a guardian.
No. The library's ethics are absolute in this regard. If a child finds the door, it's because the world has failed them. The library becomes loco parentis.
It takes responsibility.
It does. They outfit her in a little gingham dress, they give her a library card, and they send her straight to Avonlea.
To bake cakes and have bosom friends. It's literally saving her life.
Yeah.
It's not escapism in the sense of, oh, this is a fun distraction.
No, it's a rescue mission.
That's a key distinction. We often dismiss escapism as weak. Face reality, right. But for that little girl, reality is a place where she gets hit. Anne of Green Gables is a place where she gets loved. Who are we to tell her to face reality?
You can't. The choice is obvious.
So Alix is looking at these options. She can't have a high-stakes fantasy she loves, the copyrighted stuff. She needs a Goldilocks book.
Something with adventure, but safe enough that she's not going to die of dysentery in the first week.
Right. She considers Jane Eyre, but it's too depressing.
Too much emotional baggage.
She considers Sherlock Holmes, but it's too gritty, too dangerous. So she settles on Jules Verne, around the world in 80 days.
It's the perfect choice, really. It's basically a travelogue. She gets to see the world, India, Hong Kong, America, but she's inside a book that is fundamentally an adventure comedy. It's lighthearted.
It's safe, but she can't just go in her jeans and a hoodie. She needs to blend in. And this brings us to the most significant connection that Alix has left in the real world.
Beau Sato-Jones.
I love the character of Beau. He runs this shop in Boston called Brummel's. He's a costume designer, but he's a very specific kind of archetype.
He represents the maker. While Alix consumes stories, Beau creates them through fabric. He makes these historically accurate, incredibly detailed costumes for cosplayers, for theater productions, for galas.
And Alix has this massive unspoken crush on him. She does his data entry for some extra cash, but she goes to him now because the library's costume budget has apparently been slashed.
Even magical dimensions have to deal with budget cuts.
Right. The librarian basically offers her some moth-eaten rags. So Alix goes to Beau, and she lies. She says she's going to a costume party. And Beau makes her this. Well, you have to describe the dress.
It's a masterpiece. It's a blue moire silk gown. It's in the artistic dress style, which means it's late Victorian, but it rejects the corset. It's flowing, it's comfortable, but it's incredibly elegant.
And when she puts it on, something changes in her. Yeah. She stops being the girl who's doing poverty math. Beau calls her Tsarina. He sees her as this regal, powerful figure.
It's a transformation. The costume allows her to step into the role of a heroine before she even enters the book. But you can feel the tension here. Beau is part of the real world. He is the one thing that might tether her back.
But she leaves. She takes the dress, she goes back to the library, and she jumps into Jules Verne. She's ready to disappear forever.
And if this were just a story about escapism, it would probably end there. She'd have her adventure and that would be it.
But it's not.
No, because the sanctuary is under attack.
This is where the red cards come in.
Right. The librarian starts receiving these alerts on her tablet. Red cards. These are critical security breaches.
What do they mean?
They mean that someone from the outside, from the real world, is trying to force their way into the stories to find a patron.
That idea is just... It terrified me. The thought that you finally escape your abuser, you hide yourself inside a book, and then suddenly the sky rips open and they are coming for you.
And the librarian mentions the historical precedent for this, and it is absolutely chilling. She says the only other time the red cards appeared in force was about 200 years ago.
During the era of slavery in the United States?
Yes. Slavers were trying to use the library to recapture escaped enslaved people who had hidden themselves inside books to get to freedom.
That one detail changes everything. It frames the library explicitly as a tool for liberation, and the people breaking in are not just intruders, they are oppressors.
Exactly. And now, in the modern day, it's happening again. The library is under siege, and Alix gets deputized.
Right.
She isn't just a tourist anymore, she becomes a page.
She volunteers to help the librarian rescue the patrons who are being hunted. And to do this, they don't use the front door of the books. They use something called margin traveling.
This is such a great bit of magical mechanics. Margin traveling describes slipping between the narratives. Instead of walking through the library, they cut through the white space of the books.
The margins of the page.
Exactly. It's described as being incredibly fast, disorienting, and physically rough.
It's like taking a shortcut through the sewers instead of using the sidewalk. And their first stop is Sherlock Holmes.
Victorian London. And this is where the sensory details we talked about earlier really get aggressive.
This is not the BBC version with Benedict Cumberbatch.
Oh, not at all. It smells. The source text is very specific. It smells of coal smoke, unwashed bodies, raw sewage, and this thick, acidic fog. Alix arrives, and she immediately starts coughing. Her eyes are watering. It's visceral.
They're looking for a patron named Sarah. She's hiding as Mrs. Hudson's niece.
Sarah is a survivor of domestic abuse. She's created this quiet, invisible life for herself at 221 B Baker Street. She just makes tea, she feeds the cat, she stays out of Sherlock's way.
But the red card indicates her husband, Tyler, is trying to break in and find her.
So they go into the apartment, and we get this fantastic cameo from Sherlock Holmes himself. And he is, well, he's not charming.
No, he is clinically observant and deeply rude. He just looks at Alix and deduces her instantly. American, artistic dress, clumsy, Just dissects her in seconds.
But Alix is distracted, and this is a huge character moment for her. She looks out the window into this dirty, dangerous London street, and she sees a woman in a blue dress.
And she thinks it's her mother.
Her missing mother.
We haven't really touched on this yet, but Alix's mom abandoned her when she was 8 years old, just left. And Alix has been carrying that wound her entire life.
And she has this desperate hope, this desperate logic. What if my mom didn't just leave? What if she found the library?
If I found this magic door, maybe she did too. It's heartbreaking. So Alix breaks protocol. She runs. She chases this woman out into the fog.
And she ends up in the absolute worst part of town, the docks, in an opium den.
This scene de-romanticizes the entire book world in an instant. Alix is cornered. She's grabbed by men. The threat of sexual violence is immediate and very real.
She realizes that just because it's a story doesn't mean you can't get hurt.
And Sherlock Holmes actually has to show up and rescue her. He has to pull her out of there. It's a humiliating moment for Alix, but it's a necessary wake-up call. The book world has teeth.
It reinforces the librarian's rule. You are not the main character. You don't have plot armor. If you walk down a dark alley in Victorian London, you will get mugged, just like anyone else.
So they retrieve Sarah, who is furious, by the way, because she felt safe there and they've just blown her cover.
Right.
And they margin travel to the next crisis. Jane Eyre.
Thornfield Hall. A completely different vibe. Wealth, luxury, house parties, gowns and champagne.
But the psychological tension is so much higher. They're looking for a young woman named Stephanie, who's hiding from a financially controlling father. And they find Stephanie in the middle of a massive panic attack in a hallway.
And this is where we see the community of patrons really form. Sarah, the woman they just pulled from London, the abuse survivor, she immediately steps in. She knows what to do. She uses grounding techniques.
Count 5 things you can see, 4 things you can touch.
It's this beautiful moment of women helping women across narrative boundaries. But in the background, there's this horror element there right near the attic.
The forbidden 3rd floor.
And they can hear Bertha Mason, the mad wife, locked away. She's laughing behind the door. And a red card slides out from under the door.
Shelling.
It suggests that the breach, the attack, is coming through the villain or through the darkest trauma of the story.
They grab Stephanie and they run. They go to Tom Sawyer next to save a kid named Larry.
Larry is a trans boy. His family in the real world was religious, transphobic, didn't accept him at all, so he ran away and moved to Mark Twain's Missouri to be one of the boys.
Just fishing, rafting on the Mississippi, it's so pure.
It's the idyllic childhood he was denied. When they pick him up, he's sunburnt and happy. It's such a stark contrast to the others. He isn't just hiding, he's thriving.
But the final retrieval. This is the one that threw me for a loop. They go to Dracula.
Bram Stoker's Whitby. The seaside town where Dracula first arrives in England, it's all gaunt cliffs and stormy seas.
The patron is a woman named Elaine. She's hiding from a bullying brother. The librarian rushes in, ready to save her, ready to pull her out.
And Elaine is just sitting on a bench looking at the ocean, and she refuses to go.
This is the big twist.
Elaine has been in the book for a while. She has stayed through the first act. She is now in the part of the book where the vampires are active.
And she turns to smile at them.
And she has fangs.
She has been turned. She's become a vampire. And her logic is terrifyingly sound.
It is. She says, "Let my brother come looking for me. I'm not afraid of him anymore. I'm the monster now."
Wow.
It completely flips the script on what sanctuary means. Usually, sanctuary means a safe place to hide. For Elaine, sanctuary means becoming dangerous enough that you don't need to hide anymore.
It's a darker form of empowerment. Is it better to be the predator than the prey?
Elaine certainly thinks so. And the librarian, interestingly, respects her choice. She leaves her there.
Good luck to the brother, I guess. So the library is now overflowing. They have all these displaced patrons, Sarah, Stephanie, Larry. They can't stay in the main hall because the red cards are still attacking. They need a safe house.
And this expands the world even further, because if there's a library for book lovers,
there must be a counterpart for art lovers.
The Astral Gallery.
To get there, they have to margin travel into a specific art book, and they enter the painting Isle of the Dead by Arnold Buckland.
Which is a famous, very moody symbolist painting, a single boat rowing toward this dark, cypress-covered island.
The transition description is beautiful. The world doesn't dissolve into words and letters. It dissolves into brushstrokes. The light changes to the texture of oil paint.
And the Isle of the Dead acts as the foyer. They row across the dark water and they enter the gallery proper. And this place, it is chic.
Very chic, very French. Checkerboard marble floors, crystal chandeliers, servers walking around with trays of champagne and canapes.
And the gallerist?
A non-binary character, incredibly stylish, wearing this white raincoat that looks kind of like a monk's habit. They run the gallery with a much more relaxed, almost decadent vibe than the librarian.
And the details here are just amazing. The art is alive. You walk past Vermeer's girl with a pearl earring, and she tracks you with her eyes as you go by.
The little figures in the landscapes are walking around, going about their day.
So the plan is to hide the patrons inside the paintings. The gallery acts as a secondary layer of protection, and the choices they make about which painting to live in are deeply revealing.
They put Larry the trans boy who wants to be a hero into a painting called Godspeed.
By Edmund Blair Leighton. It is the quintessential romantic medieval image. A knight on a horse, a lady tying a sash around his arm. Larry gets to be the squire.
It's a safe adventure. No dysentery, no plague, just glory.
Exactly. Then they put Stephanie, the girl with the anxiety, into a Monet, the artist's garden at Giverny.
Which is pure peace. It's just flowers, sunlight, impressionist blur. It's a sensory deprivation tank for someone with a panic disorder.
It's perfect for her. But Sarah's choice fascinated me. She chooses The Consummation of Empire by Thomas Cole.
This is a massive, complex, frankly overwhelming painting. It depicts a classical city, basically Rome, at the absolute height of its power. White marble, gold statues, huge crowds of people, elephants, soldiers. It's chaotic.
So why would a woman who is hiding from trauma choose that? It's so loud. It's so crowded.
She gives a couple of reasons. One is practical.
It's a needle in a haystack. Her husband would never find her in that crowd of thousands.
But there's a deeper reason, and the gallerist points out the philosophy of the piece. It depicts the empire before the fall.
It looks glorious, but underneath, it's built on conquest and slavery. It's a violent world masquerading as a civilized one. There's a darkness to it.
And Sarah's final reason is just perfect. She says, "My husband hates Rome."
It's spite. Spite is a powerful motivator. It's the last place on earth or in art that he would look for her.
But as they're all looking at this painting, at this massive Roman crowd, Alix sees her again.
The woman in the blue dress.
Her mother, standing in the crowd of the Roman painting.
This gave me chills when I read it. Is it a hallucination brought on by stress, or is her mother actually a patron of the gallery?
And the librarian refuses to confirm or deny, cites patron privacy. But it dangles this possibility that Alix's mother didn't leave her family for another man or a new life.
She left them for a painting, which is a very complicated kind of abandonment to get your head around.
It connects Alix to this world by blood, potentially. But Alix can't stay in the gallery. She has a very practical, real-world problem, the dress.
The blue moire silk dress is ruined. It's been dragged through Victorian mud, opium den filth, and now Roman dust. It's a wreck.
And she feels this deep responsibility to Beau. She promised she'd bring it back in one piece.
This is the tether. This is the thing that's pulling her back to reality. So she margin travels back to Boston, pops out of the library, and runs to Brummel's.
And this scene with Beau, it shifts the emotional weight of the entire story. Because for the first time, we see Beau behind the curtain.
We do. On his social media, on Instagram, Beau's life looks incredibly glamorous. Parties, galas, beautiful clothes, celebrities.
But when Alix walks in, he's just slumped over a sewing machine. He's exhausted. He's lonely.
He admits that he goes to these big parties for 10 minutes, takes a selfie for Instagram to prove he was there, and then he comes straight home to work until 3 a.m.
He's just as trapped in the hustle culture as Alix is in her poverty.
It creates this beautiful parallel. Alix escapes into books. Beau escapes into history, into making these clothes that belong to a different time. They are both trying to build a shell to protect themselves from the modern world.
Beau sees the ruined dress, and he doesn't even get mad. He just sighs and finds her a new one. A Regency dress.
White muslin, an indigo Spencer jacket, very Pride and Prejudice.
Because she's still lying, claiming she has another party to go to.
Yeah.
But as he's fitting her, there's this moment of real intimacy. He confesses that he feels like he was born in the wrong time.
He's opening up to her.
And as this is happening, Alix drops something from her bag, a bumper sticker.
The bumper sticker from her childhood, the one she's carried forever. They got the library at Alexandria. They aren't getting mine.
It's her personal motto. It's her defiance. And seeing it there, on the floor of this costume shop, it just grounds her. She realizes how much she cares about him.
And she kisses him.
Finally. The tension's been building for chapters. She just grabs him, kisses him.
But it's a tragic kiss, isn't it? Because she can't stay. She has to go back to fight a war in the library. She pulls away, says something cryptic like, "I wish I could explain," and just runs out the door.
It's very Cinderella. She's running away before the clock strikes 12. But she heads back to the library. And when she gets there, the situation has evolved.
The librarian has been analyzing the red card attacks while she was gone, and she realizes they aren't behaving like the attacks from the slavers 200 years ago.
How so?
The slavers were chaotic, they were human, their attacks were sporadic, messy. This new attack is coordinated, it's precise, it's striking everywhere at once, in dozens of books simultaneously. It feels algorithmic.
And this leads to the cliffhanger that completely reframes the genre of the story we thought we were in. The gallerist mentions they have emailed someone for help.
Because the librarian is too proud to ask for outside help, but the gallerist isn't. They emailed the programmer.
The programmer. That one word just stops you cold. Because up until this point, we've been talking about magic, astral planes, ghosts, paintings coming to life.
All very mystical.
But programmer implies code.
It suggests that the Astral Library might not be a mystical dimension at all. It might be a simulation, a system. And if there's a programmer who coded the library, and are the red cards a virus?
It just opens up a massive philosophical can of worms right at the end. Is Alix in a fairy tale, or is she in a server farm?
And does it even matter? If the experience feels real, if the sanctuary is real, is the distinction important?
That is the question. So let's pull back and look at the big picture here. We've had this incredible adventure. We have the romance. We have the danger. But what is this really about?
I think it comes back to the definition of sanctuary. We tend to think of sanctuary as a place that is objectively good or pure, but the library teaches us that sanctuary is relative.
Right. A vampire-infested cliffside is a nightmare to me. But to Elaine, it is safer than her brother's house.
A dirty, smog-filled London street is safer for Sarah than her nice, clean, suburban home with an abusive husband. Sanctuary isn't about comfort. It's about choosing your danger.
It's about saying, I choose the danger of the book over the danger of my life.
And that choice is validated. The library never judges them for it. It never says, you're weak for running away. It just says, here's a door. You are safe here.
It's a kind of radical empathy, especially when you tie it back to the poverty math aspect from the beginning. The story seems to argue that when you are that depleted, when you are constantly calculating pennies just to survive, you deserve a break. You deserve to live in a palace, even if it's an imaginary one.
And there's also the theme of art versus reality.
The blurring lines.
Yes. Misako living her whole life in the tale of Genji. Bo living his life through his historical costumes. The story suggests that we are all, to some degree, curating a narrative for ourselves because the raw, unfiltered reality is just too hard to metabolize sometimes.
We filter the world through stories to make it survivable.
Precisely. That's what a worldview is, really.
So we have to wrap this up, but I want to leave the listener with a thought experiment. And I want you to really genuinely think about this.
You're for it.
We've established the rules. Public domain only. You can't be the hero. You can't change the ending. Once the pages run out, here there be dragons. And your real life, your job, your family, your debts are all waiting for you if you ever decide to leave.
The stakes are set.
So, if a door opened in your local library today and you could step into The Great Gatsby or Little Women or The Odyssey and leave everything behind, would you do it?
And to make it even harder, if you were inside, safe in your story, and you saw the people you ran away from, the bosses, the creditors, the people who hurt you, trying to break in to drag you back, would you trust the narrative to protect you? Or would you turn around like Elaine and Dracula and bare your fangs?
I think I'd bare my fangs.
I think you would too.
And on that note, keep reading and watch out for thin places. We'll see you in the margins.